back in January, I built this aluminum hood so that I can have some grow lights mounted over a 2.5-gallon aquarium from which I propagated some Venus flytraps. However, these light switches, for lamps, they have the thread here, but they never seem to include the phenolic ring. So anyway, plus it was so flimsy and I didn't back it with anything. It was just a quick thing I built, and I gave some holes for vents, etc. I was going to have like sliders, but it was just practical to leave it open. Anyway, what I'm going to do is show you guys how I built a better hood. Whoops, I unscrewed the light bulb. That's what happens when you buy cheap stuff from China. You end up, hopefully it will still work. But anyway, these lights actually did the job. But I'm surprised that one came loose. Anyway, so I'm going to use these on a new one. So let me show you what I did to make my new one. This piece of wood is slated to be the top, and if you look at it, it actually bows a little bit. So this part is going to be on top and this part will be on the inside. So let me show you. If I run this tape measure, you can see there's a small gap in between because it's bowed. And the reason is when I have the lights, it should slowly push down, and it's better than to have that part up. So that's one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and drill a couple holes in here. What I'm going to do is go in about 3.5 inches here and on the other side. So this way I will actually get it roughly spaced out to where it will illuminate the plants evenly. So that's 3.5, and then I have to measure here. That's 5.5, so then 2.5 is in the middle. So then right about here, 2 3/4 by 3.5. So right there, I'm going to mark that. And then to double check, 2 3/4. And I'll measure the other side, 2 3/4. So it's right in the middle. And then I'll go on the other side and do the same thing. So we have 3.5 is about here. And then, oh, I have this tape measure pulled too long. Okay, so 3.5 and 2 3/4 by 3.5. It's right about there. So I'm gonna just stick that there, and then I can double check. 3.5, 2 3/4, and 2 3/4. So then the light will be here and there, and it will be beautiful. So now I can go ahead and put the bit on the drill and drill those holes. You see how there's a little bit here because, oh, never mind, that worked. It took a piece, but that's going to be on the inside. Now, if you notice here, there's a flat edge in there. You can actually take the chisel from the inside and do that. And that will clean it up. And that could also be a way to quickly smooth this if you have to without using a sanding drum if it's a little snug. So now this piece, I could always cut this and create a reflector on the inside, but because these project down to the plants, I don't know how useful this would really be, if it would make too big of a difference reflecting any ambient light. But this can be saved for something else in the future. Okay, so now I need to basically de-wire this. So you'll also get to see how I wired these. And oh, there's a screwdriver. Okay, I didn't know which side it was on. So anyway, One thing to note is I actually needed one of these that have a switch, oops, for a lamp I'm making. And I'll probably use this one because if you look at the ring, there's a little blue here from a Sharpie when I drew the circles to cut into the aluminum hood. And now I get to do it with the next one. Oops. This one's a little tight because I have two thick wires in there. And I had to screw both in on that side. Whether you buy the brass or this black plastic lamp fixtures, I highly recommend the slide switch. Those that you have to reach in there and turn, like especially if you want to turn it off, you don't want to look into the lamp to find where it's at or reach and just try to feel and burn yourself on a hot incandescent if you're still using incandescents. So I prefer the slide switches. Okay, so we have that taken care of. Now let me show you. I have all this wood, and I actually have 4 pieces versus 2 for the sides. And the reason is, if you look, two are slightly longer than the other ones. And I did that on purpose, so I had a couple little bit shorter in case I did reinforce or line the inside with aluminum. You know, I could put them between the wood. So I don't need those 2, and then I have these 2 and those 2. So now I get to test that. Now this is what I had, and this is what I'm using. I found these online. They're shorter, which is nicer. Well, actually, they're not too much shorter, but they came with a phenolic ring. I bought these on eBay, and to my dismay, they were like half the price on Amazon. I didn't think to search on Amazon for them at the time. The reality is okay, make sure I have the curvature. The reality is sometimes you find things cheaper on eBay than Amazon without having to get up to $25 for free shipping if you don't have Prime. Other times you find them cheaper on Amazon than eBay. It just depends. So it's good to shop both sites when you're going to buy something. They both have return policies, etc. Okay, so I have this, and then I can always string the wire here. What I wanted to do is drill some holes and then run some panel board nails through here. I love those threaded panel board nails. And the reason why I want to drill holes is because these are kind of thin. However, the drill bits that they make that's readily available in stores are like, I think 1/16 is the thinnest you can find, and I need at least 1/32 inch thin. So I ordered some off the internet, and eventually I can go ahead and do that, drill some pilot holes so I don't split this up, and then fix them. So anyway, what I'm going to do in the meantime is something really simple to get them together, but I don't want the weight of these interfering with how well I can do the job. And let me actually remove a few things out of the way quickly. Okay. But yeah, those holes worked out perfectly. Let me get these lights out of the way. I'll put them across there. No need for the screwdriver. Get these wires out of the way as well. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is flip this upside down. And what if you notice these pieces that I bought, this side had like ripples. It's like the bit hung when they were like planing it, or not the bit but the blades. So I'm actually going to have that on the inside, and then that's the inside there. So I'm going to line these up like so. Now, if you notice, let me show you. These end up being a little wider than the wood, but that was the, you see right there's flush. Well, anyway, not quite, but anyway, it's a little wider than the top piece. But the top piece, basically, this was the width I bought. I could always have bought a wider piece and then cut it down, but you don't like, it's so little that you don't really need to worry about spending all the extra money for this. So if you look at this right here, it's in here now. It's so you do have a little gap here. You see if I push this to the other side, so that side's secure, and this side has a little gap. And so anyway, what I'll do is have the piece that hangs over on the back side. So, and this will be the back side because of that, and it will be fine. Okay, I'm gonna actually move this elsewhere. So now I'm gonna set this, and I'm actually gonna do the long pieces first. Since I don't have the right drill bit at the moment, I did order some, but I may not even need them. I'm actually going to do something very simple to stick these together. I want to see, like, if this will be the front, so then okay, this is going to be the outside, and this is the outside. Since this has more design on it with the poplar, you know, the heartwood, I'm actually going to have that. Do I want this looking down, or do I want it like that? I think like that looking. So then this piece I'll stick that way. So I'm just going to put a little bit of Loctite. Let's see if I got this done right. I've never used these pens. I usually use the other stuff. You know, my dad buys Gorilla Glue and I buy Loctite. You can put a much smaller dab of Loctite, so it's not as messy when you're working with teeny tiny applications. And I discovered that running a string versus putting little droplets worked better, so now I can go ahead and finish this. So I have on that one droplets, and okay. So this one I already have a string of droplets. I hope it hasn't dried yet. And here I'm doing the next one. Okay, and then let's see, that's the inside. So then this side I'm going to actually run a band of super glue along there. Oops. I'm trying to keep it in the center. Okay. And now I can run this there. Push and make sure this is lined up. Press down and push in. And it's amazing how super glue works really well with small light glue applications. So if you want to build something that's not going to demand a lot of weight, where it would not necessarily be too strong of weight for the glue, but too strong for the wood and would rip it off, you could simply do that. So now we have this piece built, and I'm going to let this dry for a moment. I can put some weights on there. That's not going to be much, is it? Okay. Well, I can put some stuff and let it dry a little bit, and then we can go ahead and assemble this. So before I do that, I want to also make sure I can run two of the thinner wires in there together. So that will work. And remember, twist, and you get a nice clean way of doing this. A little more intensive than using one of those wire trimmers, but those things a lot of times use the wrong size and you break it. So this is simple and one less tool to have to deal with. So now what I'm going to do is run this cable through here, Let's see, I know it, okay. I knew I grabbed a couple more zip ties because I'm actually going to zip tie it this time. Okay. See, I cut it a little shorter, but that would be fine. So I'm using one cable for both ends. And I do need to pull that apart just a little bit. Or in the South we would say smidgen. Okay. So this end was the easy end. Oh, this might be a little tight anyway. Now the lamp cable, sorry I'm interfering with the tripod again. So now this lamp cable will come out, but one thing I do need to check is that, okay, this end here is brass. Actually, the way they curve, I'm just going to couple them together. So these two will be in the brass. Those two will be in the non-brass. See if I can run these both through here easily. And I can. And I spoke too soon. But we know it's doable. So it's just a matter of doing it. Okay, there we go. I'm actually just going to do that for now. And let's see, brass was this, okay. Brass was the small round one, not the flat end. So, but on the other one, it's going to be the flat end. It's not crucial. You want to twist these together, grab that, and I'm just going to go ahead and run it through the brass. Might help if I close that end. And that wire is tight, just the way I like it. So if you look there, as I tighten the phenolic ring, it flattens out. And it's excellent. I'm actually happy with that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put these and cross my fingers when I plug them in. Well, I probably won't really cross my fingers, just using that as an expression. Won't make a difference. Okay, there we go. And the moment of truth. Oh, that one's lit, this one's not, so that could be the defective light. I unplugged it and it's still flashing, wow. Okay, I'm gonna put the old bulb in the box that the other bulb was in. And here's the other bulb, so what's interesting is you notice that has a red wire, that doesn't. That's what you get with the quality control from cheap stuff from China, I guess. Let's plug it in. We are in business. So now a couple more quick things. I kind of want this to come like that, so I will be zip tying from the middle. The one thing is it still won't be symmetric because one side will have 2 wires and the other will have 1. But if you're like me and you just want the wire to be in the middle, it will be more symmetric than if it's not. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to put another zip tie here. I'm not going to bother putting a couple dummy zip ties because that would be tacky. I hate pseudo things like that. Okay. Use these trusty yellow scissors. And now, one thing I did was I built this without testing it on the actual aquarium. But it fits, it's snug. One thing you can do is you can always plant things in here by putting just plain dirt. You can also get some of the small 2-inch pots. And if you put the circular ones, you know, these are dirty, I need to clean them. You can do that, and you can probably get a few more in than if you use the square pots where you can put like 1, and then 2, and then have a little gap all the way down. So at least with the circular ones, you know, you can actually put them like that and squeeze in a few more in here. But there's something else you can do. You take a seed starter tray and the one with the 72 cells, and you cut it into a 1/4 segment. This is just an old piece for demonstration. It's in terrible condition. And then you can plant 18 plants, 1 in each one, and then here you can have something rooting in water or something. But instead of just doing 18 plants, unless you put like 2 or 3 sundew leaves or Venus flytrap leaves in each one, just putting the media straight in here and rooting them, you can get a lot more in such a tiny area. Now, the thing is though, you can also plant other things besides sundews, Venus flytraps, butterworts. You can also plant some non-carnivorous plants that way as well. Now, I do want to show one more thing. So I'm going to have to put this sideways. And put this, whoops. It's hard to do it with sideways, but okay, so it's in there. So when you put it this way, there's nowhere for the, you know, it becomes almost sealed from the rest of the environment except for any gaps here or in there. So you can have a nice humid condition. Plus, this isn't a thick coat of varnish, so it's not perfectly sealed, but let me just pull this out. So you can start humid, and then as the plants are growing, you can put pieces of wood, like a 3/4 inch piece or 1/2 inch, 3/4, and then you can get this a little higher, and you can do that for it to start breathing if you wanted to. I'm thinking of putting things on the end that I can like turn to make it stand, and have several to make it at 2 or 3 different heights. But this is something you can do to have convert a small aquarium into a simple grow chamber that you can put on a countertop. And these 2.5 gallon glass tanks are excellent for that. I've had this for years. I'm not sure if they still make them. I think everything's gone to acrylic, but you probably can find them in stores. It's probably just harder to find glass online. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Happy planting!